And we're live again today on Imagine Fitting In podcast with Mr. Logan Elliott. Welcome, Logan.
Welcome to yourself. Thank you.
So, we have to initially right away do a shout out to our mutual friend, Scott Cigar Box Wilkinson.
What a great guy.
And right, a true pleasure. And I'm looking forward to potentially spend some more time with Scott here. Just loved it. I loved everything about the guitars, the storytelling, the kinds of types of songs that live and continue to not only honor heritage of our country and society, but also have it be delivered on this amazing customized guitars that, were from the very beginning of how this sound comes out. And then what really impressed me is how Scott just takes those songs and creates his own versions, which
does
those light me up. Those really light me up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, right. So Logan, I usually start by, what keeps you busy these days? Like, what are you focusing on these days?
As far as building, through the summer, we had such a hot summer, I didn't vend as much, so I didn't sell as many guitars, so I didn't have to build as many. Early fall, all of a sudden, it took off. I sold like 30 guitars probably in a 2-month time period. So now I'm building like crazy, trying to get caught up through the winter for next year. And I just, knowing so many people in a small community, I keep getting special orders. And I had a guy bring me a license plate yesterday that was meaningful to him. I'm building a Cardinal baseball one right now for a guy's wife, for a birthday. And I just built a left-handed one for someone. I was going to give to her child for Christmas. Orders have been overwhelming here lately. It's awesome.
Well, good for you. I hope that's what be careful what you ask for. Is that good?
Yeah. They said, you're not hunting a job, but I did a lot of these when I was working 40 and 50 hours a week. I am retired now. There's not as much time when you're retired to build as there was when you were working. It's crazy. But I enjoy it. I love it.
Wonderful. Obviously, a passion, hobby that obviously is now, right, a source of really probably inspirational income.
It is. It's your, you got to have your fun money. I mean, we all have our money that comes in from various things that we work for all of our lives, but having that $400 or $500 laying around you could carry in your billfold sometimes is just awesome.
Yeah.
And you go to a concert, you go to, whatever. I go to a lot of music things, and my cigar box hobby pays for that, and I love it.
Yeah. Wonderful. So I have to tell you, Logan, you're going to hear it first right here. I just mentioned it, but I'm going to hear it first. So I'm going to make sure all my listeners, this comes out to the public domain.
Mm-hmm.
Operational income, trademark, the Balance Professor, Greg Jankowski.
Very true.
So, right? So tell me, the podcast is all about mentors, healthy lives, and community.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you born? Where you call home today? What was your growing up life like in your family, your the roles and careers of your?
I was a military baby, born in Frankfurt, Germany. My dad was in the service 58, 59, and the Cold War, as they called it. So my mom and 200 other expecting mothers got on an airplane, flew to Germany. She was 18 years old, was born there. They call them godparents, had a great German family that helped take us in. My dad was actually in the same, I don't know if you would call it platoon or whatever, with Elvis Presley. He was right there.
Really?
While I was being born, Elvis was getting his tonsils removed in the hospital. My mom really wanted to go see him, but she didn't do it. But anyway, we were just there for, 6 months or so of my life. So, and then small town, Waverly, Illinois. I mean, it's, 1,200 people. Been there all my life. Moved to a smaller town when I got married in 1980. Wow. Still married to the same great gal. And had, we just grew up there. That was our fun times. We know a lot of people, friends. We had 2 boys ourselves, and now they have had 3 sons, which we watch 3 days a week. So our retirement is busy. That we love it though, and we have a very close knit family. Parents are still alive, still live near us. Sister has kids, still
Oh,
lives near us. Our boys both live by us, so it's really kind of a little dream thing. Truthfully, I mean, to a lot of people, same parents, same jobs, same, just kind of boring, but also, just a very good feeling.
hey, listen, that is, I would just say that's priceless
It
right
is.
there.
Family really is everything, in our world anyway, for sure. With everything going on in this
Hmm.
world, we're focused on family and trying to have as much fun as we can, and just taking care of business.
Huh? Now, what kind of work did you do before you retired?
I had dabbled in a few things, but I ended up being working in a grocery store when we had our first child for like $3 an hour or something, and then I got into the meat department, and then took an interest in meat cutting. Went through the journeyman program, became a full-fledged meat cutter, and I
Wow.
absolutely loved it. We had a blast. We had a good team. 10 years at one place, 23 years at another place, and I enjoyed what I did. And I rode a Harley for almost 30 years. We rode a lot locally, Sturgis one time, Milwaukee, all that good kind of stuff. And just when I discovered this guitar thing and started building these guitars, I had less and less time for the bike, and our friends kind of graduated from the bikes, and so sold the bike, bought a little tractor, and I build I build guitars. So and I never missed it. I had a great time doing it, but when it was gone. So it's amazing, and met amazing people from different, states, and Ohio actually. Drove to Pennsylvania and bought a Harley one year. My son and I went out there, bought a 2003 Harley, so just, I don't know. I've had some pretty good life adventures.
Good, good, good. It sounds very, it's Americana at its finest,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So, Logan, what kind of experiences or individuals kind of have most profoundly shaped your life, like your personal values and your life philosophy?
I'd say family, different manager bosses that I've had throughout time. I've been blessed to have some really good ones. I've had some that weren't so good, but I've had some bosses, even worked for older farmers when I was young, and just learning the value of working and the value of making some money and putting in a day, mowing yards or whatever. Uh,
Right.
and absolutely through my dad for sure, and my grandfather. Worked 49 years at a Shell filling station, 6 days a week, and married all of his life. My parents been married. I got married once. I'm like, this is a one-time deal, and it's been that way. And so, yeah, mentors just through family and friends and bosses for sure over the years.
Yeah.
And music, I mean, I
Wonderful.
always loved music. I'd absolutely been a rocker, in high school, and we got to see all the 70s music being born. I mean,
Right.
what better
Right.
being at the lake and hearing, Bob Seger and Peter Frampton and Yes and
Oh,
AC, all these great, great bands, and we were there to witness all of it.
hey, you're talking to the choir here. I'm
Yeah,
obsessed, right? I'm
yeah,
obsessed with
yeah,
music.
yes,
My first concert was an Aerosmith concert
uh-huh,
in 78. 78. The ticket was like
yeah,
$5.50.
yeah, yeah.
And in the next year in 79, it went up a dollar for AC/DC UFO.
I actually have all of my ticket stubs in a folder,
I
and I tried
I
to
do
write
too.
who went with me at that time, and you do too, and that's a
Oh,
keepsake
that's not.
forever, you know? It's a
Yeah, that's
keepsake of
the name thing. I'd never even thought of that. That was been a great idea
because you
because
forget who
it's
you
so
went
long.
with.
Exactly. Yeah, the human memory is some special thing, eh?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
kind of ends up being fragile as we realize later,
sure.
right?
And who didn't wanna
Um,
be a rock and roll star when you were in high school? I mean, my gosh, they
right?
had women, they had, all the great things in life, they had cars, they traveled, It all seemed like a dream.
Yeah. Yes. Everybody want to be a part of that dream. So
Exactly.
did you, I mean, were those kind of related to something like, do you ever, I always ask this question, do you ever have, you know, can you remember, like, did you have like a really early childhood dream? Like you want, what you want to be as a kid, like when you were really young,
You know,
anything stand out?
I did not. I was just kind of I had different odd jobs and stuff, but no, nothing really. I always kind of thought I wanted to be like in heating and air conditioning. My dad used to work on furnaces and stuff, and I thought maybe we would have our own business someday. And then, that just didn't work out. And of course, when you get into high school and you start driving, and you find the pleasures of drinking that stuff out of a can and all these different things, and you just kind of you work and you do what it takes to have fun, and that's kind of how I rolled.
Now, let me ask you, um, I tried to do a little research on you, and what was
Hmm.
it about that first, I think Ghost Town Blues Band? Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, they're still going strong.
What was about that first performance in 2015 that lit your spark for the cigar box guitar journey?
I'd always followed music, and I think a friend called me and said, "Hey, this band from Memphis is going to be it's called the Alamo. It's the longest running blues club in Central Illinois, Monday Night Blues in Springfield, Illinois." And he said this band from Memphis is going to be there. We should go check them out. So we went up there, and it holds maybe 80 people, 60, 80 people, and he set these guitars out, like three or four of them, and one of them was his mother-in-law's or his mother's old silverware box, and it was made into a 6-string guitar and a couple of 3 strings. And I thought, what on earth? And I took some pictures of him, and he started playing these things, and they were insane. I was blown away, and talked to Matt, got to know him a little bit. And then about 6 months later, they came back again. So we went and saw him again. Still no thought of ever building one. And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I've built like, 300 of these." I'm like, "That is the most insane thing I have ever heard. Who could build
Right.
300 guitars?" I mean, that's just crazy. I couldn't even fathom that. And
Right.
so I was like, wow. And they look pretty simple. I mean, honestly, Matt, he builds fretless guitars, high action, puts a little intricate things on them. And I've followed his build, I guess, thoughts since
Yeah.
then. And it
Nice.
works.
So did you if you did you start playing like guitar? Were you a musician? Do you play guitar
Never
before you
played
start building
guitar.
them?
I can't sing. I can dance. I can't sing. I cannot play guitar. I can play a few chords on here, make it, sound good. I can
Sure.
get one in tune when I build it, especially fretless. I'm not a great fret person, and the intonation, everything. I know there's a lot involved in that. I mean, I can do
Yes.
it, but I kind of tend to stay away from it a little bit. But
Well, listen, I got to tell you, uh, that's both, I both understand it and it's very impressive for you to have the craftsmanship and artisan skills. And you're going to, we're going to see some of your work very soon. That, regardless, like the reason why I play drums, Logan,
mhm.
is because it's the closest I can get. I can't play guitar either. I tried. It's like,
Yeah,
it's just not me.
there's a
And
lot involved
I
in
have,
it.
yes, I have really natural rhythm.
Hmm.
So I'm an organic improv drummer,
Okay.
and I've learned how to read music, drum music,
Hmm.
but if you put it in front of me and tell me to play from it, it just doesn't happen.
Not gonna happen.
If I right, and if I have a guitarist or a piano player, right, who's typically they're typically the musical directors, right,
Sure. Sure.
whoever's composing, right,
Hmm.
and the singers and lead singers. And so I end up, um, I've been singing for over 25 years for my own meditative self, and I've
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
involved in bands running sound, and I formed a band in Los Angeles for a brief time, and as a drummer and singer,
Wow.
and so that's the reason why, I always tell this to people. Tell people, I go, how beautiful it is to go out and hear live music, right? You're
Yes.
just getting pumped, and
Yes.
just like you're so engaging, and there's only one thing more better than that is
Hmm.
actually being in the band.
And in that circle of music,
Yeah,
it's an intimate thing.
it's that vibration.
Yeah, it is. It's just, and knowing musicians, instead of just being the guy out there cheering, all of a sudden now you know these people, or you're one on stage maybe, or and it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, I mean, that's a really cool connection that, like, you look up there and you see somebody playing your guitar. That's
Oh my
awesome.
gosh, that's the bomb, no doubt.
And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
believe me, I bet you're much more respected by many guitar players just for that fact. I respect any aspect of individuals who contribute and are part of that, what we
Hmm.
know is modern music and bringing live performances, from sound technicians to lighting guys, right?
Sure, sure.
I was both of those for quite a while.
Hmm.
Um, so what was your first one string build like? What
I'm
did it
telling
teach you about learning something,
I'm telling you,
completely
my
learning
first one.
something new at any age?
I see some of these guys and they're like, "Oh, this is my first guitar," and I look at them and go, "Well, that would have been my 300th guitar," because of the detail. I saw a board in my wife and I at a museum in Mississippi. There was a board on the wall in a museum, one string on it, and there was a slide hanging there, and you could just go up and down that and hear the noise that one thing made. And I'm like, this is insane. So I could build that. So I came home. I still have it out in my garage, number one, and it's a 1x4 pine board, and I had a little wooden wine box, and I nailed that on there. I put one string. I don't even know where it came from. It was a heavier string off of a guitar. I put a couple of beer caps on the neck, not knowing anything about scale length or anything. And I flicked it to where a sound was pretty, it sounded cool. And then a buddy was here. I don't know, we might have had a beer or two, and I drilled a couple holes in a box and like, well, you can't hear much. So I drill a couple more. We were sitting out there in the backyard and it's still hanging out there and it is rough as rough could ever be. But that's the first thing that I saw that made noise that, someone really hadn't built. So I didn't know about the Facebook groups. I didn't know anyone else that built. I've never built. I'm not a woodworker. I'd never done woodwork or anything outside of a shelf maybe or something. And it was rough. It's very rough, but I still have it. And I'm proud that I did it because, and the first Facebook group that I fell across was called Cigar Box Guitars. It's an addiction. And I joined that group and, watched what these people were doing and everything. And I thought, well, that's a crazy thing. Wow. Did it ever come true? Total addiction.
That's nice.
And
That
just,
is that is
I don't know.
that is a what do you call it? What a discovery that, in essence, you were right there bubbling that love of music, and just one day, seeing
Yeah.
something on the wall, and it just like it's I think it's just kind of like, it's almost like a nugget, which would search for hear these on the podcast for, everyone, young and old, in terms of inspiration.
Hmm.
It can be
Yeah.
found in the
Yeah.
most subtle, keep your eyes open. We
Yeah.
talked earlier off
Yeah.
camera about, being present, being really appreciative of each moment. And, I believe, I mentioned that the podcast is all about mentors
Hmm.
and healthy lives and community. And that, each exchange, right? That preciousness of each exchange, I feel that, we're kind of shedding light and mentoring each other on
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
lives, right?
Yeah.
As we share here. And this is one of the things that I really appreciative myself, as this podcast is an honor and the memory of my late nephew, who we lost to, sadly, to addiction. I want to do two things. Well, two things primarily, and I get a benefit from it, is to honor his memory,
Hmm.
to shed light on the power of the storytelling, and to highlight people that I meet, because I love to meet people.
Hmm. Same.
And I can tell you're a very personable guy, and that those interactions have such value and such power in terms of just reminding us as this technological world has allowed us to be here now, looking at each other from distances
Sure.
away.
Yeah, that's the crazy part.
As much as the technology, and we know all the negative sides of that, to really magnify the power of the positive of our ability to communicate and share. So, and I again, as I mentioned to you, I love however this podcast and this conversation can help spread the word for what you do and how it can benefit you and your passion, continue your passion.
Hmm.
Because it's a mutual respect for music and in general, especially because I'm just kind of nuts about that. Um, so then, but I get to benefit this benefit that I didn't realize, Logan, was all these conversations, my personal growth and my experience and right having the honor. I've been on 75 of them, right, on
Yeah,
my
for sure.
podcast. You've been on one, and so it's every time it's reflective, and I like to feel that my conversations here are. You can listen to this in 10 years, or you can
Yeah.
listen to this right
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's going to be
Forever.
relevant in terms of
Hmm.
what our conversation is talking about. It's not date oriented. It's real life and that human connection. So tell me, from boxes to hockey sticks, like what what inspire are your eyes that wide open? You're like, what inspires your choices of materials?
Once you start looking and you just think of once you're a guitar builder, and I'm no luthier by any means. This is just homegrown stuff. But once you start figuring out that something can make sound, it can be a baseball bat, it can be a board, a hockey stick, a crutch. I've made several out of the old wooden crutches, and like it kind of like a lap steel. You lay it down, and it just makes beautiful noise. And I made a hockey stick one, just to try it, put a little box on it. I had it at a booth in Springfield when I was set up, and this guy came up and he's like, hockey stick. He goes, I'm something to do with the Military National Hockey League out of Pennsylvania. And he
Mm.
goes, I love this thing. I've never seen anything like this. Could you mail it to me in Pennsylvania? Well, I don't know if you know what a full size hockey stick looks like boxed up, but it didn't look the best, but it made it to Pennsylvania, and he was very happy. And then about 6 months later, he got a hold of me. He goes, could we have one of these built in 3 weeks and have it sent to Las Vegas to our Military National Hockey Convention? And we want to put it with a raffle with some T-shirts.
Wow.
And so I dropped everything I was doing. I did it. I built it. I sent it out there, and I think the whole thing brought like $5,000 or something. I mean, they had hockey pucks and signed things, with it. But what an honor to send
Yeah,
this
that's
ugly
wonderful.
looking box to Las Vegas. And I was just like, wow, so that was just a hockey stick. So, just a simple thing. And another really cool thing that I did, guy right up the road, there's a farm, and this farm was named after this big walnut tree right on the road, Walnut Edge Farm. Well, 6, 7 years ago, we had a huge windstorm and it blew the tree down. And I asked him if I could cut it for firewood, and he's like, yeah, but try to save some logs. We'll try to cut some boards. So we did. And he said, well, can you make me a guitar of some kind? And he's a farmer. And I said, yeah. So he gave me some pretty nice boards. Well, I found one that had a really cool live edge on it. Crooked. I mean, had holes in it. And I made like a kind of a lap steel out of this thing, 6-string, and presented it to him, put his name on there and live edge, or a Walnut Edge Farm. And I've had guys play it at my festival. A guy out of St. Louis, Mark the Harp, Mark LeClaire out of St. Louis, play this thing, and it's magical. And it's just out of a tree that was just up the road, and just something like that. There's so much meaning in when you do something like that. It's really hard to describe it.
Wow. Just a little break here. Another great episode. I hope you are enjoying Imagine Fitting In podcast. And just a reminder here, please remember to hit the subscribe button, because we love to feel you a part of our Imagine Fitting In family. And if you want to become a brand ambassador, we'd love it if you would share this link on social media, through your email, all your friends. You can help with us with donations, any small donation, big or large, whatever you can manage. to help encourage us and support our efforts here. And you'll find that link in the show notes. And finally, again, a reminder, please refer guests to us. You can find me and contact me at thebalanceprofessor@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. All right. So I hope you continue enjoying Imagine Fitting In. All right. Till next time.
You know, I would have to say and comment that I agree with you. The meaning, the beauty to that, to the narrative, to the historical, humanistic, right? It's so special in terms of these when anybody has memories, if it's in the military or any form of, service. Obviously, service to the country is even bigger importance, right? In terms of patriotism and honoring those sacrifices, and that intimate connection of that. This custom human thing. It's so special that it's just not something that was, off a factory line, whatever. It's just like time, patience, and this human being that's crafted those fingertips. And it's like, everybody's journey, right? Where we honor all, people retire and you honor these citizens and people and heroes and all that. It's just it's probably probably the most beautiful thing to really, like, I think, like, when you see these award shows and all this, whatever, it'd be really cool. It'd be really cool that, the Academy of Arts, that they did a national program or something. I'm an idea guy.
Sure.
Of having, children or aspiring artists from all around the country or the world to create unique, right?
Yeah.
Unique structures to honor person's contribution, especially in the arts,
Yes. Made in the USA. I mean, my gosh, how important is that nowadays? It just
yeah, right.
So just
for
cool
sure,
things like
right?
that. I mean, and one other little tidbit story I always like to tell. I don't know if you're familiar with Honor Flight, but it flies veterans starting with World War II, Korea, now Vietnam, basically, to Washington, D.C. for one day, the Flight of Honor, the last day of their Flight of Honor, they call it. And so they go to this, and then they spend a full day, leave at 4:30 in the morning, get home at 9:30 at night. It's a long day. And you can go with your dad. The spouse can't go, but you can go with your dad, or you can just be a guardian and sign up. And if a veteran doesn't have someone, you can go. So anyway, I went with my dad in 2014, was privileged to do that. And it's solely funded, no government funding, no anything. It's all by donations. And it takes a lot of money to do this. And we got back to this, and it was beyond a dream for the rest of my life. And I was like, what could I do to raise some money for the Honor Flight? So I got to talking to some friends. A buddy of mine who was in Vietnam gave me his ammo box that he actually carried. And I found another ammo box. So I made an amplifier out of the one ammo box, bought an amp, tore it apart, built an amplifier. And then I built a guitar out of this other ammo box. And in the end, I made like 2 holes in the end, so it looked like a gun barrel. And I had just a lot of old cool stuff on it. Very, very unique. And a friend of mine, we went around for like 5 months, and we set up at different places, and we sold raffle tickets for this thing, and for Honor Flight, and we gave it away on July 4th, 2018, 2019, something like that. Gave away on July 4th. The kid who won it was a tank veteran, and that day was his birthday. I mean, I got my hair standing up right now. And he said, I will take this thing, I'll build a glass case, and it'll never leave my wall. And we raised right at $5,000 and handed 100% of the money to Honor Flight. And since then, I've helped raise over $10,000 for Honor Flight. I go to all the homecomings at the airport when they come back, my parents and I, and just another honor. I didn't make a dime out of it, but guess what? I had, you don't have to make money. The feeling from that, I'll carry with me as long as I live. It's just
beautiful.
Cool.
really, really beautiful.
And just, I don't know. And then I've donated several since then for that same cause, but that was a really big one.
Listen, I think it's time to let's Logan, why don't you show us one of I think you have about 4 guitars. Why don't you show
Yeah,
us start with one of your guitars?
sure. And I'm going to start with this one, telling you that I'm friends with a couple of that plays. They actually played Tom Petty music. They played 300 shows a year almost. And she is an artist also, and she does wood burning. And so they go around and to places they play, and they'll say, "Hey, we could build a guitar with your logo on it. What do you think?" And then we sell them the guitar. I pay her, I get a little money, she gets a little money, but this is hand wood burnt, no laser, by her.
Sweet.
Her name is Jen Comrade. And I put just little things on them. If you'll notice, you'll see a skeleton key. I build a straight neck, so my neck isn't, doesn't go downward. So you have to have tension past the nut. And so I just threw a key on one of them one time, just anything to hold some tension. Since then, I've probably used 500 keys, and I'm kind of known for that. So if you see one somewhere, it has a key on it, it could be mine.
Okay.
This is kind of a cool thing. And then I discovered this MGB parts out of Florida. And you can see the back of this box. It's a kind of a thin box. And MGB Parts out of Florida is where I get all my parts. Great place. Check them out, you guys. They're amazing. And
wow, sounds great.
So I
That's
just learned
fantastic.
to nickel as I'm sitting around vending, which I do quite often. That's when I practice. That's the only time I practice.
Sure.
And you can do this same thing 50 times a day as long as the same people aren't there. They think it's really cool.
Right. Yeah. How about another one?
And so one like that, I'll sell for like $175. So, I don't go big money.
Wow.
I'm like $150 on most of my guitars.
Wow. I don't know in this modern day era. God bless
in Central
you. God bless
Illinois,
you. God
in
bless you.
Florida, they're $300, $400, but in Central Illinois, the money's different.
Okay.
This is my number 100.
Look at that one.
My number 100. Amazing Jack Daniels box. I haven't really found another one exactly like this. It's fretted, but the action is very high. I put a Jack Daniels domino on it. I like to theme all my guitars.
Sweet.
I like to theme them. We'll see. This may be a little bit too loud. Let's see here. That's not bad.
Wow. They each have such
so much fun with these.
Such unique tones, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This one was early enough. I didn't even put a volume or a tone knob on. I mean, that's number 100, and I was still learning, at number 100. And then another very unique thing that I've seen a Canjo with like one string on it, like a soda can or whatever. Well, I kind of took it to the next level. This is my Canjo. This is a Pabst Canjo, one of the more popular ones. So I take the top off the can, and I make the jack plate. I try to theme it with, you got to drink a little beer. You got to find the bottle caps, and then I also got
that's a riot
bottle opener on there, and did that. And I had it down in Murfreesboro, Illinois, and I met a gentleman by the name of Steve Harvey out of Florida. Check out his videos. He has 10,000 of them on YouTube. And he's like, I've played every guitar in the world. I've never played a beer can. And he played that thing on stage, and people went nuts. And since then, he put it on YouTube. I've sold them to New York, Pennsylvania, Texas, the West Coast, all over the place.
Look at you, man, Mr. International now. You have any Logan?
So, Pabst, and it sounds just like a guitar.
Yeah. Have you ever had any orders from around the world?
I've sent one to Germany. I sent one of these to a friend in Belgium who I've met through this whole guitar thing. He's stayed at our house twice now. a great John Merry-Go-Round.
Nice.
He goes by an amazing person. So I sent one to Belgium. My son was in the wine industry for a short time, and he popped around different countries doing the winemaking seasonal. And he had a friend in Tasmania, and he goes, "Man, I'd like to send him this guitar." So I said, "Will you bring me a license plate?" So he brought me a license plate, which I still have in my garage from Tasmania, which is how cool is that? And we
Right.
sent a guitar to Tasmania. And then and I don't know if you want to call this international, but if you want to look at this right here, very simple cardboard.
Wait, those are, that's, is actually is that the case for a case
Yes.
of Bush Light?
So you go on any platform you want, pull up Bush Light beer can guitar. I get a phone call one day. I just retired. I get a phone call and it says Bush Light Marketing. All right. So I answered the phone and they said, "We pulled up a Canjo, a beer can guitar, and your name came up on Google." I'm like, okay. Huh. So anyway, they said, "Would you be interested in doing a project with us?" I'm like, absolutely, you know. So they sent me some plans and they said, "We want an average person to be able to buy a 30 pack, say, of our beer and build a guitar out of using our beer cans, no electronics, no anything." So I did a couple experimental things. My son filmed the whole thing, you know, and then we chopped it and everything and sent it to him. The first one I built, they didn't like, and they said, "Well, have one can." He's like, "What? Could you put more cans?" So I did that one with 3. And so they liked that. And then they said, "Could you build a really nice one?" So I built a double neck that was electronic. And they had a guy
Whoa.
a famous country musician. Man, I can't even think of his name. Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis.
Okay.
He did a
Okay.
special thing and gave it away. But so these 2 young guys from New York flew to St. Louis, Missouri, drove to my house out here, and we're out in the country. Spent the whole day here filming, videoing. They wanted to actually come and clean my shop. If you see my shop, it's it's an old 100-year-old building with all kinds of signs and everything in it. But anyway, I spiffied it up as best as I could, and they were here all day long. And we had a cake, we ate some brats, and the guy played that little jingle for "Head to the Mountains of Bush Beer." He played that out here in my yard, and they use that for their promo. So go on YouTube, go on Twitter, go on whatever you want, pull up Bush Light
Sweet.
can guitar, and the instructions how to build it and the whole deal of mine is on there. And they wrote me a really nice fat check, and I'm like, wow.
Hey,
So
you know what? Wow, that's awesome. And Logan, I will tell you right now that we're going to talk more off camera because I think I might want you to build me an IMAGiNE guitar,
okay, well, that'd be awesome. Yeah, for sure.
right?
Yeah, I'd love to.
So what is you know, what is one of like your favorite stories of someone picking up like, one of your handsome instruments for the first time? Like, did somebody really blow you away, or is it a moment where it really was touching? Or
Gosh, there's been a lot of them. Some of my coolest ones, which they didn't play or anything, is I'm a Samantha Fish fan. Don't know if you know of Samantha Fish. If you don't, if you follow her, believe me, you will. I've seen her 11, 12 times, usually on the front row. But I built 2 guitars and took them and had her sign them after her show and got all kinds of pictures. I have a whole photo album. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but of Samantha Fish, because she is so amazing and what she's done with the cigar box guitar world. And she only plays like one song. She has a bunch of them. She only plays like one song or 2 at her show. When she does, the crowd just goes insane every time.
right.
And so having her sign it, but Justin Johnson, I don't know if you're familiar with Justin Johnson, and another name to look up out of Nashville. It was involved in the St. Louis Cigar Box show that we did. There's just had the 10th one, I believe, and I'm a member of that. But he did like the first 5, and he would come and he would play Friday night and do a little tutorial thing and tell you about them. And then Saturday he would play, and anyone could hand him an instrument, and the guy could play a shoestring, I swear, and make it sound good. And he's played a couple of
Wow.
mine and signed them. I have one signed here by him. I have one hanging in a bar restaurant in St. Louis that he had signed. When somebody like that plays one of your guitars, I mean, like I said, no luthier, I'm nothing. I've never, but when they play that and make it sound as magical as they do, it just doesn't get any better. Doesn't get any better.
Listen, I think I mentioned before, my experiences as an artist. I used to work in advertising. My essence, I'm an artist. My passion has been fitness for over 30 years.
Uh-huh.
I used to use my creative energies to sell, things that weren't not necessarily I was practicing with every day, everything from, cigarettes to alcohol to drugs and to, really not so great food, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And I was very, very passionate about my own well-being. And then I eventually became a professional at it. But I go to your point of, this is raw and real, passionate work that you self-educated, threw yourself into, real craftsman. And I think that, you don't need someone to sign off on what you're doing.
No.
Right?
No.
You don't need an institution, right? Because as individual, you almost like that individual potential glory. And when I say glory, it's almost like that individual self-honor.
Sure.
Again,
yeah.
I thank you. I thank you for this exchange, my friend, because
absolutely,
just that thought in my head has come about because we're having this conversation and your experiences and interest and passion for music. And I can see that, when your heart is all in there, again, that's just one of these messages I just want to propel to, especially young lives. I'm looking to inspire young lives, promote mentorship, man, just try to connect like you're doing with music through all ages, right? Backgrounds and abilities.
I'll tell you what, when a young child comes up to my booth when I'm set up, and I'll have a guitar plugged into an amp, and I don't care if they're 2 or 12 or whatever, and I say, here, just strum it. And they, they're hesitant at first, but they strum their fingers across that string and they hear that sound, and oh my gosh, sometimes it just, and I've had little kids that have never touched a guitar in their life, and they hold it, and next thing you know, their fingers are kind of doing what they're supposed to do. And I make little soda can ones. I charge $10 for them. One string, just a little soda can with, I use pencil marks on it. Sometimes I just give them away. If they don't look like they have the money, I'll just give it to them. But to get that musical instrument into a child's hand, it could be a lifelong thing,
Right. It could be life changer.
Yeah, it could be life changing. They're going to go and they see candles at this, they're walking in a place where they're selling all kinds of stuff, and there's candles and stuffed dolls and, flowers. And then there's guitars, and they hear this guitar make this noise. They're going to remember that.
Yeah.
And it's
so
cool.
Listen, how do you think, hands-on projects like instrument building could, help students build real skills that go beyond the classroom?
I've had some friends, South Carolina, a gentleman down there that's a great builder. I mean, he's an amazing 6-string builder, but he's also done classes with school where they did 150 builds. They had like 3 people helping him, and it was like a 3-day deal. And they did a music class, and they had 150 of them. They got all the parts from the supplier I was talking about, and a simple, like a ukulele build, just a simple nylon string build. And what better gratification is there on earth than that? It's a good feeling,
right?
It's really cool.
I mean, this is one of my my big messages, and we touched on made in USA.
Yeah.
And I was a product of a mentoring environment. I've been mentored in kind of a journeyman or apprenticeship, whatever you want to call it, for the trades and skills and craftsmen in all kinds of that intimate connection of an elder, right?
Sure.
And to inspire especially young men who I think we're finally making a lot of awarenesses, right?
Yes.
College
Yeah.
was driven down our throats. It is not necessary, and it becomes it just tilted way too much, where we lose sight. We almost lose sight of our priorities and even our humanity, because you're just so
Yeah.
everybody's saying, like, this is where you have to go to be able to be anything or succeed
No.
and be happy.
No.
It's just, again, big part of my message. Big
I'm
part
a
of my
trade
message is
school
to
I'm a trade school believer, and my son went to trade school, and he's worked in a mechanical career, for now 20 years, probably almost. And hands-on is always I've always been a hands-on. I never made a lot of money. Uh, we're
right.
we're the richest people we know because we're happy and we get by.
Hey,
But did I ever make a lot of money? No, I didn't. But we always got by, and we were always happy.
yeah, I hear you. I mean, there's a certain blessing to that, where you hear the stories all the time where a young person or anybody gets an exorbitant amount of money that they don't have any context to it.
Yeah.
There was no
No.
blood, sweat, tears involved,
No. No.
w- you started this journey later in life. Like, what message would you share with students about learning,
Yeah.
at any age?
Find some kind of passion, whether it's writing. It might be writing, or it might be putting flowers together. It might be something, but if it's something you want to go for, try it, stick with it. Maybe you'll make not a career out of it, but you'll make a great hobby. I look forward every day to waking up, going out, put some wood in my wood stove in the winter, and working on a guitar. Where I've sat around here, I don't know how many countless winters. We know how winter is; it gets boring. On a day off, I'm like,
Hmm.
read a book or listen to an album or something. But I mean, man, it's so bored to tears. And then you watch the news, and then so I can go out there and listen to music 8 hours, 10 hours, sometimes a day in my shop. And friends will stop by, and visit for a little bit because they know I'm there. And just
Yeah,
if you have a little dream, follow it, no matter what age.
it's almost
Yeah, I wasn't young when I finally decided here's something I can do. And now, I don't know if you've seen my numbers. The one I just finished is 970 of the cigar box guitar. The beer can guitars I've built right at 300 of. I've built a
wow.
lot of those, and then ukuleles, 30 or 40 ukuleles. But I'm stretching to get to that 1,000 mark, and I'm not going to make it this year, but I will early next year. And just some people make 5 and they quit, or 10 and they quit, but I don't know there's something that draws me to it.
Okay, Logan, I have another. Again, I told you I'm an idea guy, and I have an idea, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to put you on the spot, but I'm just going to share this with listeners and to this experience of our exchange.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want. We're going to talk later. I definitely want you to make me an Imagine ukulele. And going into my next question, I love, and we can obviously talk more off camera if it comes to an opportunity. I'd love to consult with you
Mm-hmm.
in terms of, because I have an education-based program that I'm in the process of trying to get the attention of educators,
Mm-hmm.
and reinforce the importance of mentorship, craftsmanship, communication, and having students being engaged up off their feet, and building things hands on,
Yes.
and being able to empower special type of projects, as you mentioned when you had your friend that just gathered these parts and simplicity and gathered this experience to really then all you can imagine just resonating around this music of these tones of these instruments.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely talk more about that. But so it's interesting because to get the attention of public school officials and trying to say, hey, have you ever thought about the power and especially the socialization at this
Mm-hmm.
time for our
Yeah.
young
Yeah.
people,
Absolutely.
because of the technology that we're dealing with, in terms of, how would a instrument building, right?
Yeah.
In that craftsmanship and music into like an active learning programs.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, if you could design a program like I kind of structured it up because based on what you said, but you have any thoughts about how powerful and how it's like if you think of I'm just framing it up thinking simple like wait, this guy is knowledgeable. I bet you could do a self-instruction video. You could probably teach people how to teach young kids to build these basic things out of these parts,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
have a unique experience like that. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's definitely out there. Maybe some people have tried it, but uh, you know, like I said, ukuleles are the best way really to go with something like that because they're fairly simple. You can buy a kit, everything's with it. If you can get several of the same style boxes, so they're all basically the same, it's pretty simple and do a little pre-drilling if necessary. And a kid can build something with their hands, not using a phone, not using a computer, actually, and feel good about it. I just,
Yeah.
to me, it's very powerful. And I've talked about, I actually just sold a U bass to a gentleman who's a music instructor in St. Louis County. And he wants me to come down there and do a U class. I just haven't followed through with it. But they actually still have a music
Okay.
class, which is awesome because a lot of schools don't anymore. And he
Right.
plays ukulele, and he loves this rubber string, O-string ukulele that it's a U bass, like I said. And then there's the concert ones. There's baritones. I mean, different ones that a person can build. I
Right.
mean, yeah, some of the guys have done it before. We tried to do a class in St. Louis at our Cigar Box Festival back in late May, and didn't have too many
Uh-huh.
people sign up. They had like 10 kids, and I think maybe 3 or 4 signed up for it. But
Right.
going to a school or working through a school music instructor or something it would be simpler for sure. But just I don't know. It's definitely a vision, no doubt about it.
Okay. And I like to consider myself a visionary.
Hmm.
But we'll have to talk more off camera about your friend and whatever. So listen, you know, what's your vision, of a future where building and playing and storytelling through instruments? We've kind of talked about that, right? It's like it could be a part of everyday learning because,
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah,
that be cool? Wouldn't it be cool if somebody came in and like played, if it's some kind of like, national anthem or a, a song that's patriotic in nature to
yeah,
start the
yeah,
day or to have something like that tone to realize the vibration of those even singing a song together, right? How that brings connection.
yeah.
So
It's
listen, um what I mean, again, I'm sorry, what's your thoughts?
I mean, the sky's kind of the limit on it. I mean, it's something that you could teach. I hope my grandkids, I made them all ukulele as soon as they were born. The ukulele was bigger than them when I built it. And
That's great.
I hope that they pick up, because they're around my house and I have guitars here everywhere and stuff, and they're free to strum on them. But yeah, just honestly, really, when you really think about the power of getting that to a child's life is probably one of the most important of anything, truthfully. There's
Right.
no doubt about it.
And the idea of a handcraft, it's almost like when you think about, when you hear the classic line, like, oh, they made you a custom card by their own hands, right?
Right.
I mean, how intimate, beautiful, and
Yeah,
long
you
lasting,
cherish
and
that. Yeah. And one of the
yes,
things
so
that
power.
I didn't mention, but you said because of Cigar Box Scott, but actually, the true thing of all this is continuing the blues music that, they made back in the late early 1900s, carrying on that tradition. That's one reason I don't like to go too technical, too much laser, too much, you know,
Right.
pretty things. Cause I call it folk art with sound. That's what I call my music, what I build.
Folk art with sound.
Folk art with sound. And it's all truthfully carrying on the tradition from the South is where it all began. And we go to the Mississippi Delta twice a year. We got friends, Clarksdale, Mississippi. If you want a nice little getaway, a quiet, laid back area, Clarksdale, Mississippi is the epicenter of the blues, no doubt about it. And the
Oh, nice.
Cathead Music Store down there, the gentleman that runs that, Roger Stoley, is been a big part of pulling the music together and organizing it in Clarksdale. There's music 365 days a year. Every single night there's
Wow.
music somewhere in that small community, blues music. And it took me almost 3 years. I saw some guitars in his store, and it's just a nice little, small little shop. Saw some guitars in there, and I was like, "Lord, those are cool. Could I ever bring one in?" "Oh, no, this guy supplies me, blah, blah, blah." 3 years I worked on that. And now I've probably sold 15, 18 guitars there, and I sell them on commission. So he's not out any money, and I either drive them down there or I ship them. He's happy. I'm happy.
Nice.
I have people from every country in this world looking at my guitars. I mean,
Wow.
boom.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm very proud of that. And then also I just
you
got
should be.
in Memphis on Beale Street. There's a Memphis record on Beale Street. It's been there many, many, many years. Probably everybody in the world's been in it. I'm same thing there. I have guitars in their front window. They've sold a couple already. Great handshake type people down there. And, it just,
Yeah.
Like I said, I have a lot of things to be happy and proud of, I guess you would say, that I've done, and just and you can't just lay back and wait for things to happen. You have to make them happen. And I tell everyone,
There you go.
There's good people out there. You just have to surround yourself with them. Yeah, there's a lot of bad people also, but you have to surround yourself with good people. And I could almost leave the story on that.
Hey, listen, Logan is a great final thought and ending message to this wonderful interview. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate your time. We're definitely going to talk a little bit more off camera. Love to, chat about all what we talked about more. And I really thank you for giving those nuggets of inspiration through our dialogue, our exchange, showing your work. Obviously, carry on. And, it's all about the music, right?
It's all about and continuing. There's the big bands, it's getting less big bands. People don't have the attention to go or the money to go. So you see a lot more folk. You see a lot more, maybe even homemade instruments. You see a lot more single and duo acts everywhere. And this falls right into that.
I think that's what's propelling what's needed. Propelling us back into our closer tight communities and reminding of the treasure really that's there.
Yeah. It's you don't have to go to a $1,200 show. You can go pay
exactly
$0 or $20 and see just as much talent.
And support your local businesses.
And support local. Absolutely support local.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, it's been my pleasure, Logan. You take care. And
Absolutely.
God bless. Continue your work. All right. All right, guys. All right, everybody. Till next time. Kids. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Wow.